this episode of the bonus round, we peer into the future of the industry to see how to fix some of the problems we've dug up this month. We're joined by Michael Pachter, Jessica Chobot, and Kyle Bossman to dive into the problems plaguing us now and find a brighter gaming future.
We need to not take this art form so seriously. I think we should take it for exactly what it is, which is rich entertainment.
That's all right now in the bonus round. Hey guys, we're back here on the bonus round, our final segment this month with Michael Pachter, Jessica Chobot, and Kyle Bossman. So all month we've been talking about the state of the industry and the relationship between gamers, media, the publishers. So what can we take away from all this in terms of how the industry can do better, Michael? I mean, when you think of things like the Microsoft DRM fiasco or some things like that, is the industry learning anything? Because I think the industry is changing. I felt that gamers have certainly been much more vocal over the past few years on the internet, and that may be because of the rise of things like Twitter and Facebook and the ability for gamers to express themselves more publicly. But what do you think? What's the takeaway from all this? Do you think is the industry changing?
I mean, ultimately, the industry is the games and not the consoles.
Right.
And I think that Microsoft probably took itself a bit too seriously and made some decisions that it knows better. And so
even though you warned them.
Yeah, I did warn them, and I think Sony might have been going down that path, but
Right.
they had backlash when their patent application was unveiled last year, and they backed off. But I think ultimately, this comes down to entertainment, and if we get experiences with these consoles where we really get hour after hour of enjoyment, then life is good. And I think that we need to not take this art form so seriously. I think we should take it for exactly what it is, which is rich entertainment. And
it's coming from the numbers guy, the guy who thinks about the business.
But the cool thing is that
some people would say, you look at the DRM and people say, oh, Microsoft, they're going to now, publishers are going to make more money now off used games. And you saw Cliffy B saying on Twitter and things like that, that's like, well, this is the death of AAA games because publishers can't afford to make these games anymore.
I think the guy who creates the best entertainment experience for a reasonable investment and sells more units is the guy who makes the most money.
Right.
And that the only way anybody can make money in this industry is to delight consumers and get those consumers to part with their hard-earned money. Mm-hmm. So fortunately, we spend billions, and I mean hundreds of billions of dollars entertaining ourselves. And the video game industry is only a small slice of that, and that's what we were talking about last episode. How are they going to broaden the appeal to get even more people to pay for it? That's where it's headed, and so I like that we have the vocal hardcore who says the way it's got to be, but they should remember that they're a small slice of that addressable market. They are the opinion shapers. They're the guys who stand in line at midnight to see the movie debut before it's even been reviewed, and they're going to tell all their friends at the water cooler the next day to see it. They're the same, for games as those people are for movies, but ultimately this is entertainment. And it's a business, and the guys in the business, and let's throw Cliffy back in there, they know how to delight, which is why they get paid a lot.
Right.
And I don't think Cliffy is a business guy. I don't think Alex Rogopoulos is a business guy, but he knows how to delight people.
Right.
The only one of all of them is Gabe.
Right.
Gabe is a numbers guy. Gabe gets the whole business thing. Gabe, I would take a lecture from on business because I think Gabe gets it.
All right, we'll have to arrange that. Maybe that'll be do that panel at PAX or something like that.
Has Gabe ever said anything about used games? Obviously not, right?
I don't think
it's
he
not
has
even,
really.
it's
I mean,
not even a part
you
of
can
his
look at
world.
well, you can look at Steam though, right? As an
Yeah.
expression potentially of how they feel about used games. But I mean, he would say in some ways it's more like a digital system, right? On Steam, where that's part of the funny thing is like with Steam, you can't you buy your game and there's not this controversy about used games and trading, but they would say part of it is because of the pricing.
But he had Portal and Left 4 Dead on consoles, and there are plenty of used copies of those floating around, and I've never heard Gabe go, oh shit, we would have only made $10 billion last week instead of,
No, but-
or $9 billion.
Right, but I
Whatever.
think part of it is he would say, on Steam, you look at the way they do pricing on games, and there's so many cool sales and things like that. And a lot of people said to me, it's like, well, on Steam, you don't even worry about used games because you can get a game for $9 or $5.
And it's sort of
things
like
that.
ripping off music, and once songs came down to 99 cents back in 2001, people said, I'm not going to rip it off anymore because
It's cheap enough that I would do that. So I think their solution to some of that is saying, like, hey, games are going to be much more accessible. And even some people said to me with Microsoft, they would have come out and said, hey, we have this whole new digital system. Here's how it's all going to be set up. And by the way, because of this, your games are going to be $10 cheaper now.
Yeah,
Gamers would have been like, hey, that's a huge benefit.
but that's not going to happen, and that's the problem. See, the hit from used is only in the first couple of months after the release of the game, and it's maybe 3 or 4% of sales, and then beyond that first 3 or 4 months, used games provide currency to buy new games. So nobody thinks it's really more than a 3 or 4% hit.
Right.
Talking about $1.50, $2, $3, and maybe they would never discount a game by $2 or $3, and because you bought a digital copy, and the guy who trades it in thinks it's worth $10 or $15 when he trades it in. So you're never going to get the pricing right, ever.
You would argue on Steam now you see games. I mean, I buy great games that are down to $20 or things like that. I mean, after a window.
Not proximate in time to when they launch, right? After a year or two, when no one else is buying it, sure, they'll play around with sales, but not early on. And remember, you've got Walmart doing point of sale promotion and GameStop doing point of sale promotion, putting it in newspaper circulars or having a stand outside the games, wherever Walmart has games. I haven't seen that in a long time. And they're promoting games at $60. Nobody's going to undercut what Walmart charges. Right. So Walmart will say if you're selling Activision, if you're selling it for $50 as a download, then you better sell it to us so we can sell it for $50. You have to take $10 less. Activision won't.
See, this is all the inside business scoop that we get from your package. All right, guys, hold that thought. We're going to be right back here in the bonus round. So Jessica, we've talked a lot about the industry and gamers and media, and Michael's talking about where the industry is headed from a business perspective. When you look at it, from the perspective of kind of the gamers and media, are you excited about where games are going as a gamer?
Where games are going? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like the more people that are getting involved as gamers, or however it is you want to label them, the wider variety of games that you'll find out there, and I would assume, hopefully, that a lot of those are good. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. And I think, competition between Sony and Microsoft, always a great thing. You're going to get some excellent, creative development coming out of both those sides in order to compete with each other. And honestly, actually, I'm kind of getting back into PC gaming too. I've started playing League of Legends. I suck at it, but I've started, and it's a lot of fun. And it's just one of those things where I'm console launches and these kind of weird changeovers and all the stuff that's going on. It's always really exciting. I always think it's nice to shake things up, and I'm very interested to see where it's all headed.
It's going to be interesting. So Kyle. Jessica before wouldn't give us whether she'd get an Xbox or PlayStation first. What about you?
Oh, first.
Obviously PlayStation.
PlayStation 4?
Yeah.
You're calling the ball, Bossman.
Yeah. I would probably, yeah. That's like it's not a thing. I don't know.
That's just because you want to play NAC.
Yeah, it is. That is the exclusive NAC holder, so I'm gonna go wherever NAC goes.
Let me put it this way.
'Cause that Titanfall piece
We've
of
pre-ordered
shit-
our
yeah,
Xbox
okay.
One. We've pre-ordered it. I don't know why we haven't pre-ordered
PS4?
a PS4 yet. I actually just asked Blair that the other day. Have we pre-ordered that? And he said no. And I said, well, we should get on that. But yeah, so, whichever one shows up at my doorstep first. I truly, I know you guys think I'm trying to skate the issue, but I truly, I got burned on the red rings. I've had issues with my PlayStation 3. I'm waiting until it's in my house to play and have an opinion on it.
I'll be honest, so I've never had a game just not work on the Xbox 360, and I've had about a dozen that were just buggy pieces of crap on the PS3. So I stopped
I
playing.
don't think that's fair. That's
so many.
No way.
Is a
Come on.
dozen too many?
Dozen.
Oh man, Fallout New Vegas was unplayable. Just absolutely. I mean, there were so many. But I'm a big Fallout. Fallout period didn't work all the time. I I stopped playing on the PS3 except for Sony first-party games, just because I couldn't take it anymore.
That's
I don't
something
think,
Sony's definitely tried to address.
It would
this
just
generation.
freeze and stop, and it's like, and especially in the middle of a level when you've been spending 20 minutes doing
the
something,
worst.
and it didn't auto-save, and you could save, but it just, I didn't have it set. Now, supposedly, the PS4 solves all that, and it auto-saves like every 10 seconds.
And the PS3 was just like a weird architecture.
Yeah,
thing.
let's
It was
hope,
just-
but
yeah.
I actually don't trust it, and so I'm waiting to see.
So are you pre-ordering an Xbox first? Is that what
I'm getting them both for free. You think I don't buy consoles? Are you,
You
kidding
guys are
me?
giving me shit.
They send me free consoles. I don't have to do anything.
Look at this.
But what if you had to buy one?
I'd buy an Xbox One because I'm really excited about the
Skype.
About Skype. Yeah,
Who
I
are you
think
gonna
that's
Skype
actually
with?
cool. My mom.
Really?
I was just going to say that, but I thought it'd be rude.
My mom lives in Las Vegas. I would have my kids say goodnight to grandma every single, and we just don't
But
get the
don't you
family in
FaceTime?
front of
Don't you
kids.
FaceTime
No,
now?
we can. One kid on the phone, and you're handing a phone around. Living room.
So wait, so are you
we're
buying?
sitting
Grandma's
there.
holding it
Are you buying
awkwardly
an
and you're looking
Xbox
up her
One
nostrils.
for your mother in
and-
Las Vegas then? Is that what you're saying?
If my mom is still healthy by then, I will.
And then, but you'll have to go over there and help her set it up and everything.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
here's
that's
how you
so
connect
hard.
it. I don't
That's
know.
so hard to do.
We just,
Yeah, that's easy. I got to say, they make all these things.
Jess's
pretty easy to
dad's
set up.
neighbor couldn't get connected. Remember? Like, it's
Yeah, but
just,
how
it's
long did
gonna
it
be
take
long.
you to set them up? About,
For me, it
about
took
a
me,
minute?
it took me like 30 minutes.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be an
They're
exciting
gonna be
year,
pretty much plug
a
and play.
fascinating year, and I'm sure there'll be more controversies coming. But at the end of the day, it'll be a pretty exciting race, I think, between the new Xbox and the new PlayStation, and we'll be debating and discussing it every month on the bonus round, as always. All right, thanks, Pachter, Jessica Chobot, and Kyle Bossman. We'll see you guys next week for an all-new bonus round from QuakeCon in Dallas.